Good morning, my little mages. How are you all today? Are you staying hydrated? The weather here is getting a little colder. So this is gonna be like a speed paint of Darksand and Slayer. But I'm also overlaying some other art, mostly of Darksand, because I don't have that much of Slayer. I haven't really drawn him too much before. This took a while to put together because I co-write this stuff with a friend of mine. So her character is Slayer, mine is Darksand, and this is their little jacked up story. But yeah, I hope you enjoy some of the other art that I've thrown in here, and I'll put another speed paint that's just gonna be like background music and stuff if you guys just want the clean version with nothing else. I'll have that up too later, but I wanted to get this one posted. I'm not sure how many of these I will do, but I really kind of want to introduce all our characters to you guys. So maybe there's going to be more of these. I don't know. We'll see. If nothing else, I might just make these for myself because, like, I love these characters. So this is the first time I've done a read of something that I wrote. So I hope it's not too dry. I kept breaking up, laughing, and some of it's kind of like, I don't know, dry, but some of it's not, and then I started to get into it, so I don't really know what the tone I should be doing for these is, but yeah, just, I don't know, comment and tell me below. I think I'll try to keep them more fun, but Slayer is a bit more serious, and there are a little bit more serious topics in here, so yeah, fun stuff. Their history is extensive, so this is the best I could do to condense it. Some other stuff might get touched on in another video, possibly, if I make more of these, like if I talk about their kids more or whatever, but for right now, this is what I got, so enjoy.
Today, subtle understandings between people help to make peace with past transgressions, mistakes that give way to love and understanding. Darksand and Slayer give to each other what they refuse to do for themselves, always placing the other above themselves. It was not always like that. Slayer, stoic and vengeful, Darksand, pushy and mischievous, yet both are constructs of other people's will. Slayer, a man who's not a man, and a beast who's not a beast, a mix of DNA from dragons and other fauna. A creature to be feared, but also controlled. He eradicated all the research and lives that bred and altered him into a militarized creature of magic and skill, a weapon to reform the world through destruction. His culling included the Dark Lord of Arisen that held his leash. In a bid to reunite the country, he used his cunning to position people within the factions to see that Dark Arisen fell, and that his puppet sat upon the White Arisen throne. As part of his crusade to erase anyone with his genetics, he slaughtered his family. But that was where Slayer's first chink in his armor formed. His humanity crept in and gave way to love. Slayer not only saved, but cared for his younger brother, Ko. Slayer's plan continued to unravel as he allowed more people into his life, against his better judgment. Slayer's first child, Peter, was born. Another genetic loose end that could threaten the world. Darksand, a living cadaver doll, was crafted by the researcher Duval for the death god Hyes, to aid him in ferrying souls to the afterlife. Among the 9 angels of death crafted for this task, Darksand is the third oldest, and often chose to be the martyr to keep his siblings safe from Duval's abuse. However, the real purpose of the angels of death was the assassination of the gods so that Duval could become one himself. After several failed attempts, Darksand was forced to help Duval jump through time and space to another world. But even with Duval gone, his magic still persisted through the angels of death, causing some of them to lose control in an attempt on a god's life. The time and void magic that Darksand possesses had a price to pay. For any use that meddles with the timelines, Darksand becomes afflicted with memory loss and is physically punished by the endeavor, possibly losing limbs or having to have his seams restitched. Darksand, having been crafted for a job he had never agreed to, often neglected his work to play tricks on the people of Arisen. One of these tricks was on a group of people under Slayer's care, giving Darksand a captive audience. Captured in a bubble by Slayer, Darksand broke Slayer's stoic nature by making a fish face as he swam about. Darksand, enchanted by Slayer's rare smirk, became Slayer's near constant companion. Slayer, however, vowed never to make the same mistake he had with Peter's mother, thereby rejecting Darksand's nervous advances. Both Slayer and Darksand had been part of Dark Society, where their relationship would have been criminalized, resulting in death. Peter and Darksand had conspired to trick Slayer into loving Darksand after all. It was personality that mattered over gender. Or so they thought. Darksand took on the guise of a female to woo Slayer, but after telling Slayer the truth, Slayer was furious and felt betrayed that his friend could do such a thing. The truth was Slayer did love Darksand, but understanding what love was and what forms it took wasn't easy. Darksand apologized a million times over after having wrecked his relationship with Slayer, but Peter hadn't given up and encouraged Darksand. Being the pushy pest that Darksand was, he did manage to eventually get Slayer to agree to be together. Darksand citing his own lack of gender and Peter's desire to have another parent to love him again after his mother previously disappeared. Slayer had taken it further. He married Darksand via Hyes, the god of death, but it wasn't just for love or because of their pressure. Darksand was a powerful menace, wreaking havoc on Erison, the country Slayer was in the process of restoring. But Darksand marrying Slayer allowed for Slayer to keep him in close proximity instead of out running amok. Slayer would view this as a mistake as time went on. There were many fights in the household for these reasons, a relationship built on lies and manipulation from both sides. Slayer wasn't interested in being intimate with Darksand, no matter how attractive Darksand tried to be. It made Slayer uncomfortable and hostile. So Darksand switched back to the female corpse he had used before. To Slayer, his own weakness in love kept piling on mistakes. Darksand gave birth to 2 sons, Raven and Zephyr. Raven was a host to 2 parasitic brothers, Crow, who needed Raven's body to replenish energy, and Greckle, who was an alternate personality. As Slayer saw it, these mistakes were far more powerful than Peter, and Slayer did attempt to kill Raven, as he had kidnapped the Princess of Erison, Andrea. But Slayer was stopped by Raven's own rival, Logan. Being together for so long, Slayer started to resonate with Darksand over their similar histories. Both were created as tools to be used by others. From this grew compassion. Darksand felt out of place in this female body and resented the form he had taken to get Slayer's attention. Slayer, seeing his torment, had pity for Darksand, going so far as to make Darksand's original body male, despite Slayer's own wants. Slayer felt that, much like himself, Darksand had been used enough by others. This was something that would truly make Darksand happy, which is what Slayer had vowed to do. But unknowingly, Darksand now controlled the same leash that the Dark Lord once held over Slayer, as Slayer resigned himself to being the controlled creature that he was and caving to Darksand. The result was a child birthed by Slayer named Sylvana, the apple of Slayer's eye, and a clutch of, 10 eggs from Slayer's dragon form that he tried to refuse to lay, injuring one of the children permanently. These eggs became Echo, Dirge, Enid, Oblivion, Alexiel, Glay, Ramir, Marai, Esra, and Alto. Currently, Slayer regrets how far his plan has failed, and the mistakes he feels he's made along the way. Regardless of all he's done to be his own person, to utilize his power for himself and for the betterment of his country, he is still nothing more than a creature to be used, manipulated, and controlled, even if unknowingly by Darksand. And now, he has provided more monsters to destroy the country he reunited, and possibly the world. All of whom Darksand loves very much, as most parents would, and whom Slayer tries to avoid, because that would mean having to reconcile with himself over his failed plans, which resulted in bringing them into the world. Darksand, once blissfully unaware, is just starting to see the cracks in the mask that Slayer wears for him. Out of love and respect, Darksand now supports Slayer, while pushing far less for his own desires. That was so fucking hard to read. I can't tell you how many times I had to record the... See? Yeah, like that. Like that. How many times I had to re-record this? I had so many, like... recording systems that wouldn't work. I had corrupt files. Oh my god, this was so difficult to get through. You try saying militarized, okay? Like, it doesn't exactly flow off the tongue. And now I can say it just fine because I've said it about 60 million times. Thanks for sticking around. Hopefully, this is not the end of Slayer and Darksand. I mean, obviously not. This is an ongoing story, but I hope you like it. Okay. Bye-bye!